So again, welcome everyone. I don't know for how many of you this is a really good morning. Maybe you're also coming from other parts of the world. However, over the ocean, that should be just an early night. So I doubt. Then I believe for most of us who are in this meeting, this is just the morning. So yes, as Sharon said, I will be presenting a session around Power agents. I saw that there are other as well sessions around PVA in comparison, for example, to bot framework. So what are the differences? Now, my session is actually about the version of Power agents that has been announced just recently during Microsoft Ignite. So the one that actually any user can build within Microsoft Teams. All right, so let's get started and let me show the session. Just a few words about me. I'm Tomasz Poszytek. I'm coming from Warsaw in Poland. I'm Business Applications AVP, and well, I'm working with Microsoft technologies for years, for long years. So I kind of call myself an expert, especially in business processes, in all these things around workflows and processes. So anyway, if you'd like to catch up with me, connect with me, find information about my work, find information about what I'm doing, what I'm writing about, then there will be a list of links at the end. Plus, you can go under the aka.ms/Poszytek, and there is just a set of all the hyperlinks to all the social medias. I think I have to update this slide in the end. So, all about me. I don't have a lot of time as well, it's just 40 minutes. So the first question that, well, before we actually started working with bots, before Microsoft built its first version of the bots for power users, so us actually, because I don't know if you, but I'm not a developer, was that people were actually thinking that bots are really expensive, that they do require a lot of knowledge, that they do require a lot of sophisticated talents and specialists who create artificial intelligence behind all these linguistic things, the behavior or whatever, so that the creation of bot is actually a huge amount of money, and therefore no one is actually able to do so. And well, things has changed actually when Microsoft announced and showed their first version of Power Virtual Agents actually. So what is the goal before or between or in front of the Power Virtual Agents? So the first thing is that it is going to allow your users, your employees, to actually engage with this tool naturally. So whether they're using English or other language, it is actually now supported or is still going in or is still in preview and will be released soon. Then the users are actually able to just type in the natural language. And I also heard that there is on the roadmap the engagement in the voice on the voice level. So users are also going to be able to simply chat with the bot, not only just to write messages. Also, the goal is not only in front of Power Virtual Agents, but just in front of Power Platform to democratize AI. So with the AI Builder, with addition of all these small endpoints that are being used by Power Platform, by AI Builder, by plus the Power Virtual Agents, we can actually use the AI, we can enhance these conversations with AI, even though we don't actually doing this by purpose, or we don't creating any kind of networks, neural networks, or any other kind of models that actually are just being built by us, I mean for us, by the platform. It is also meant to continuously improve because it delivers you a lot of insights from the conversations that the users are doing, plus the sentiments, so and the information on how those conversations were ending. So if they were ended positively or negatively, if users were happy or unhappy with the outcomes, and in the end, it also helps you to leverage this conversation onto another level because it connects with Power Automate with bot framework, so you can add there another layer of this connectivity. And speaking about the Power Virtual Agents, this is not something that has been just announced during the Ignite this year, because the first version of Power Virtual Agents that we are now using has actually been announced at Microsoft Business Applications Summit in 2019, yes, in 2019, and it was called the Virtual Agent for Customer Services. And since then, it just took a longer road to arrive into Power Platform. And then Ignite last year, Satya Nadella announced that there is a new tool in the Power Platform landscape called the Power Virtual Agent. So this was the first appearance of the tool that we know today. And we can as well use today because this is still available as a standalone product. It's not only available as a built-in thing to Microsoft Teams. So when we look at the Microsoft 365, I mean, at the Power Platform ecosystem, we have now tools to actually automate and work with any kind of information. So we have Power BI to work with data, Power Apps and Power Automate to create processes and business applications. And then with Power Virtual Agents, we are also able to create another endpoint for our users to participate in those processes. And plus, we can as well go really beyond because we have all the tools that helps users to interact with these tools like Teams, like Dynamics. So all there we can as well embed those tools. Also, we now have over 400 connectors that we can choose from, so that this integration layer that each of these products can actually benefit from is quite big. And this is what the bots are actually. So with the bots, users are being given this possibility to not only directly trigger a process by using an application or by uploading a file somewhere or by receiving an email, but with the virtual agents, we're actually able to have this kind of interaction between a user before the process actually starts, so that we can get more information from user, we can get more insights, we can actually do a more precise beginning of the process, so that then what is happening after user writes down their questions, their issues, their requests, the process is being triggered very narrowed down to what is actually required. What is also very important is that the Power Virtual Agents are actually built on top of the Power Platform and the Azure Bot service. And because of that, it can really benefit from all these tools, from all these connectors, from all the Azure services that are below. And we can nearly do it with just a single click, so we don't have to program anything. I mean, if you would like any day to start working or playing around with the bot framework and bot skills that we can as well use in Power Virtual Agents, well, then you will need to start programming. But as long as you're just trying to stay within the Power Platform, the Power Automate, the connectors, the data that we have there, we actually can really do everything without the programming. So what is the Power Virtual Agents? Basically, this is a tool that helps us to create a conversational flows, the conversational logic between this machine and the user in a designer that actually lets us to simply click and point and click and create actions and create interaction between relations between those actions. So therefore, we are not meant to have any kind of programmer or developer knowledge. We just need to have this general idea on what we actually want to achieve and how this tool works, and then simply follow its possibilities, its functionalities. Also, it gives us a lot of functionalities out of the box. So this AI artificial intelligence to create models, to create models built on top of trigger phrases, so what user can type in to actually start a specific conversation. We are giving this out-of-the-box integration with Power Automate. We are also given the functionalities to help us integrate with Dynamics for customer engagement, so to start conversation with actual human agents. And it also gives us a built-in tools to make it more secure, to create integration with Azure AD. Plus, in Microsoft Teams, there is this authentication built in. There is like an SSO. But furthermore, this gives us also tools to improve the product itself. I mean, not the product, but our work, because with Power Virtual Agents, we're also given this area for analyzing the conversations, for checking the outcomes, they said, for checking the sentiment. So how actually a user finding our bot, if they're happy and satisfied with what the outcomes of the conversations are. Maybe there are topics that are usually ending up without a continuation, so that those are those topics where users are just dropping out. And so we can maybe try to redesign the whole conversation, the whole logic, so that these topics are performing better. So with Power BI agents, we're actually given a lot of tools that we can use right out of the box without this need to gain a lot of deep technical knowledge. So the same as with all other tools in Power Platform, right? And well, having that said, I think that's a moment to start actually with, well, just clicking the product itself. So let me just put this presenter on the table and jump on to the product. So I have two windows, but this is not the one. So I have an employee, just a regular employee who has licenses to access Microsoft Teams. And with Power BI agents for Microsoft Teams, we're actually able to work with that tool without any additional license. So this is the coolest thing around the PVA in Teams. It's really for free. I mean, for free, unless we have the license for Teams, plus unless we want to go somewhere beyond the basic functionalities. So if you would like to use any premium features in Power Automate, for example, that we are calling, then, well, actually we will have to get the licenses. But as long as we are staying within, let's say, the Office 365, then we are covered under Microsoft Teams license. So the first thing that we have to do to actually start working with Power BI agents is to click this ellipsis icon here, and then simply type in Power or agent or whatever. And then among all the applications you can find here, there is also the Power Virtual Agents. Now, once you hit it and you add it, you then need to choose. Okay, well, for the first time, it always takes a little bit of time. So then once it is added and you now navigate to the interface, to the main landing page, let's say, it gives you a lot of information about how to start with Power BI agents, where to find hints, where to find tutorials, where to find a community. So it gives you a lot of, let's say, guidelines and shows you the ways how to actually onboard yourself with Power BI agents. Now, once I pin it so that it doesn't go away, now then I go into chatbots and I can actually start creation my chatbot right away from here, from scratch. I can as well here and find here other chatbots that are created in other teams that I have access to. So then I can simply collaborate with other authors on their chatbots, or I can start with my own. Now, the first thing you have to do when you start working or creating the chatbot is you have to choose a team where the chatbot is going to be available by default. So the default accessibility of the chatbot is for all users of that specific team where the chatbot is created. But you can as well change it so that it is going to be available for anyone within the company. So maybe I'll just choose this SOC team. Now here's this important information. So like if you attempt, come here. So if you attempt to create this bot and you're the first person to do it in this team, then it might take a while. But let's don't give up. It can take like 2 minutes maximum. So hopefully this will just end up very soon. In the meantime, now this is something unexpected, to be honest. Let me just try again, maybe a different team. If it won't work as well, then well, possibly I'll need to just switch to a different user or simply go to the one that exists. Well, but so far so good. I'll keep my fingers crossed that this time there is no error. In the meantime, are there any questions from your side?
Hi, Thomas. We have had a question about licensing, which you gave a brief explanation for there. And also we have a user who is a newbie and is looking for knowledge for deploying help desk chatbots for some of his customers, which should be covered. So other than that, we don't have anything in the questions so far. But, you know, do feel free to expand on the licensing piece if you would like.
So basically, regarding the licensing, if you'd like to use the Pivotal Agents, the standalone version, then it costs $1,000 per month per 2,000 sessions. And then there is like $450 per each additional session, per each additional 1,000 sessions. But when speaking about the Pivotal Agents for Microsoft Teams, so the one that I'm using, then the only thing that the user has to actually have is to be given an access, so needs an access to Microsoft Teams, so has to have a license to access Microsoft Teams, and then anything that is happening with the Pivotal Agents is covered. And then as long as the agent is not using, for example, Power Automate Premium features, or is not being shared outside of your tenant, of your Microsoft Teams, then this is all covered under this Microsoft Teams license. But then if you'd like to go beyond, then this is, as said, $1,000 per 2,000 sessions. And regarding the Q&A or this help desk chatbot, I will just show you how you can design the chatbot. So therefore, I hope you will have like a bigger picture of how you could create the chatbot on your own with this functionality of a help desk. So let me call it.
Thomas, there was a further question on the licensing there, asking for an explanation. Could you please explain what you mean by a session and what's meant by 3,000 sessions?
2,000 sessions, yes, okay. So the session is something that ends up. So when we have conversations, then each conversation ends up with, for example, a question, does that answer your question? And then if the user says yes, then usually the bot goes into evaluation. So then user is being asked how much they like this conversation, this experience from 1 to 5. And so once this rating or this evaluation is finished, then such a conversation is meant a finished one. Or if the conversation is really taking a lot of time, for example, over 60 minutes, then once it reaches the 60 minutes, so once this session of a user reaches or exceeds 60 minutes, then also this is considered as a one session. Or the number of turns between the user and the bot. So if user is writing something, bot is answering, then user is writing back something again, bot is asking a question, user is answering, then each such exchange of communication is counted as one turn. And once this conversation, this session exceeds 100 of these turns, then again, this is considered as a one session. So there are like three factors that can be considered as something to be built on. And plus, if we go under the analytics, then we can also find information which of our sessions are actually built by billing. Let me just open you the Pivotal Agent that I've created, the standalone version, so I can just show you how it works in this productive one.
That's really great, Thomas. The follow-up, I guess, to that was someone asking then, if we have Power Agent within organization, will it be free? So the caveat is that you have to have a license that covers it, right?
Right, but it again, it depends this scenario. So if you're using the one that I'm just showing, so in Teams, yes. But if you're using this one, so the standalone, then no, because this is meant as something more than just organization. And now what I'm saying about the billing as well. So here in analytics, you can go or navigate under the billing, or you can as well find here the information, how many of these sessions were already built, or like how many of those that occurred over the last time are actually considered as billable. Well, in my case, I don't think I have any of those. But that's actually how it works. Okay, well, there are 12. So this is an example of a bot that works and is, well, that costs something. But I'll just leave it for now, and maybe I'll get back if I have time, so that this is an example of a help desk bot, but it's not only working in Teams. Now, this is the bot that works in Teams. It is now provisioned, it is now created. But actually, the functionality between the first one, so the standard version and this built-in version, they are very the same. The main difference is the small items in the UI. So for example, in this standalone, we don't have these fancy looking breadcrumbs that shows us where are we in the structure of Teams. Some buttons are in different locations, but basically the functionality is just the same. So now, once you start working with Pivotal agents, the first thing you have to actually create is the topic. The topic is the main thing that defines this experience, this conversation experience between a user and a bot. So the topic actually is built of two things. The first one, apart from title, are the trigger phrases. So these are the questions, the potential phrases that if user types in, we would like the bot to start this specific conversation, this specific topic. So for example, when speaking about a help desk, that can be many more, depending on what you want to actually have within this conversation. The point is that there should be like between 5 and 10 of these trigger phrases, so that then the AI underneath is actually training the model, so that even if user types in something not directly the same as we typed in the first place, but very similar, so that the confidence is quite high, then the bot is actually able to say, okay, this is the topic, so I have to go and start this conversation. And then once this conversation, once the trigger phrases are actually done, then we can go into the authoring canvas. That, on the other hand, looks quite similar to what we know from Power Automate, for example, because we have even this topic checker that checks if there are no branches in the conversation that are disconnected, or if there are no errors in the conversation flow. So basically, this is the beginning of the design canvas. And then for each, in each step that we want to actually do, we need to first click this plus button and then choose between the available options. So if we'd like, for example, to ask a question to a user, then to ask a question. Here again, we can just ask a question and then grab the full, for example, response from the user, or we can use one of other entities, so-called. So we can use this multiple choice option, so we can just define choices, and then there are branches, so the conditions are being built for us. Or we can use one of those, for example, existing entities. That works this way. For example, if I choose color and I ask, hey, what is your preferable color of the laptop? And the user answers with, I like black color of laptops. Then this entity will simply extract this color black out of the sentence. So this is something that we can know, maybe some of us knows from LUIS, so the Language Understanding Intelligence Service, that actually is able to be trained to know those utterances and then extract the entities from the sentences. So if user is actually containing one of those well, named entities that the bot is aware of, then it can actually extract them and use in the conversation. Their other action is to just show a message, so to simply display a sentence or yeah, just a message from the bot to the user. Then the other one is to, well, add a condition. However, the one that is the most powerful here is to call an action. With the call an action, we are actually able to call Power Automate that we have to first create. So with the Power Automates in Pivotal agents in Microsoft Teams is a little bit different to Power Automates that are being triggered by the Pivotal agents standalone version. In the standalone version, those Power Automates have to be put in a solution and has to have this trigger that allows them to be triggered by the Power Virtual Agents. In Power Virtual Agents for Microsoft Teams, all these flows are being stored somewhere in the Oakdale, so this CDS for Microsoft Teams, and I haven't yet found any other approach, any other way to access these Power Automates created here, other than simply navigating to a specific topic and clicking here to edit a flow. So you can't find them in your general dashboard of all the Power Automates that you have created, even if you're in the same environment, or at least I did something wrong, but yet this is something very new. Now, another thing that is important about this, let me just write a message about this Power Automate here, is that once you attempt actually to create such an Power Automate, you are again still within the Microsoft Teams canvas. Well, even more within the Power Virtual Agents canvas. So you're not navigating anywhere outside. Everything is happening within. And well, another thing is that you need to start from an existing template. There is no button to just like create a blank one. So let me start the very basic one because it ends up right. Because it starts with the action for Power Virtual Agents and ends up. So this is the input and output. And then, well, in between, I can actually just do whatever I want. And as long as I'm staying within those free actions, that's not premium, is all covered and doesn't need anything else. Now, what is also important here is that with the basic Power Virtual Agents for Teams, one of the variables that we have and we can use is the user ID. And this user ID can, for example, be used to call well, user information. So for example, to call user's profile. And then to, well, find some information at profile, maybe to get picture or something. Sorry, not my profile, my bad. I didn't mean to have my profile, but the user's profile. So for example, get user profile, right? And this, the one of is this user VPN. Like as an output, I can say and return an email of the user. So now once I choose this Power Automate to be triggered, oh, I have just 10 minutes. Now this is available here, right? And this user ID is a global variable that can be accessed anywhere with every conversation within Power Virtual Agents, because it's like predefined global variable, because here this embed experience gives this SSO information, so I can access not only user display name, but user ID. And then in return, I can again show a message with this email information. So let me just save it. Oh, and then once it is done, I can again, for example, ask a question. Like, does it answer to your, and say yes. And then, for example, if yes, I can end this conversation with the survey. And then if no, I can do like a connected logic. So I could go again back to the beginning and trigger everything from the beginning again. So let me just show you if this is going to work. Right. Come on, restart. So right now it should trigger this conversation. Okay. Okay, maybe not yet. Nope. Maybe this way it will trigger the conversation. Okay, so right, it just worked. So it called the Power Automate. It got my email address. Yes, it answered my question. And okay, then the topic, the success topic has been triggered that actually asks me the same question again, which is not very good. So me as a designer, I should predict that and just do something else. So no thanks, the conversation is now done. Now, once I'm happy with this with my bot, the next thing I have to do is to actually publish it. The publishing is building like a small package with all the latest changes inside the bot. So if I make a change to a topic, I need always to publish it. And then what I have to do is to either open the bot to start conversating just with me, or to share the bot for other users. Here I also have two options. So I can share it in Microsoft Teams that I created it so that any in the team can use it, or I can send it for Microsoft Teams admin approval. So it will be available to any user in any team. So I'll just add it to my teams. Right. Then if I go back to the other user that actually doesn't have an access to this team, actually, it was sales and marketing. All right, maybe I don't, or maybe I do. I should have. Okay, and I go to this channel, and then what I can do is to navigate to well, to find an app. Sorry, not here. It should be somewhere available for me in this team. And right, that's something I don't actually. Well, okay, to be honest, I forgot how to access this bot within just being in a team. The other thing I can do is to submit for approval, and then once it is approved by the admin, it will appear like any other apps that you have in store, available for you as a Contoso application, as a Contoso organization, so you can choose from. And then, speaking about those applications, if I am a user then, and I want to use one of these applications, I have to go to my more apps and then simply add this bot to my Microsoft Teams so that I can actually start conversating with it. Oh, this one as well, it requires me to log in because it is not only using the SSO that is within Microsoft Teams, but it's actually following the authentication with Azure AD. So because of that, it requires additional login, and in return, it also gives the user bearer token that can be used to, for example, call Graph API. Now, one more thing about designing the bot. And for example, speaking about, where was that? And speaking about the help desk. So each topic within the bot is actually a single conversation. So you can either create a bot that has like a number of those topics, and then each topic is a question and an answer to a specific issue that you find. So for example, you can have a topic around issues with the device, issues with the keyboard, issues with the Excel, issues with Outlook, and have just a really long list of all these conversations created, so that when the user is starting conversation and has an issue with an Excel, then goes to a topic around the Excel. The other approach you can do it is to, for example, have a Q&A database. So this is also an Azure service, and simply have all these big database of questions and answers stored within Q&A. And then simply once a user types in a question, then the question is being passed by Power Automate to the Q&A database. And then in return, it should just grab the most matching answer from that database and then display this answer to the user. And in that approach, you will most likely have just one topic possibly with a more complex logic, but in the end, you'll be calling Q&A, and there is where you will have all the questions and answers that the user might ask. All right. So just a few words about the roadmap, because that's the last thing that I have on the presentation. So there are cool new features, cool new functionalities that are actually coming up with the Wave 2 that has been announced in September or even in July. So the first thing is that we'll be finally able to post adaptive cards to Power Virtual Agents. For those of you who don't know yet who doesn't know what is adaptive cards yet, well, the main thing is that this functionality allows us to really send and display a very rich messages to the end users, so they can interact in a better, more engaging way. Plus, they also allows us to post like a small forms so that users can actually put in some data into the adaptive card. So this way we'll be able to, for example, post the big message with images, with videos, with a map embed, with some other information that will help users to actually engage better. There is to be the topic suggestion, or I mean, this one is already present, so we can use a document that is structured as a Q&A as an input, so that then the bot will automatically create topics for us. There is also going to be this voice interaction, so that the users are not only going to be able to type in questions using keyboard, but also conversating. Also basic theming, this is already somehow available, so we can use icon for the bot and the leading color when speaking about the Microsoft Teams. And finally, there are also going to be the list variables. So today, the variables that we can use are actually just the string variables, Boolean variables, and all these, let's say, single element variables. And then with list variables, we'll be able to do loops to gather more information, to work on the table data again in Power Virtual Agents, which can also be helpful in specific scenarios. Right. And speaking of that, if you'd like to start working with the standalone version, then go under aka.ms, try PVA. If you'd like to start working with the version for Microsoft Teams, then simply go to Microsoft Teams, click the ellipsis icon, type Power, and add Power Virtual Agents to your Microsoft Teams to start this journey with the chatbots. So thank you very much for this session. If you have any questions, I'm still here, so I'll just wait for this, and then I'll just now jump onto Teams to read what was asked. So give me a moment.
We do have some questions, Thomas.
Yes, I'm just opening the chat window. So
okay. If you go back to the one from Peter, is it possible to query the CDS database of the team without premium?
So Team doesn't have a database, right? There is now the Oakdale database, which is under the basic licensing, so you don't have to have the premium. But the CDS itself, well, this is something that I don't remember. I think it's recently just have been removed, this premium label. And this is confusing a little bit, but well, basically the CDS used to be, and I think still is, the premium connector. So for that, you need to have the premium license for Power Automate to call it.
Yeah, agreed. We also have, can I publish a bot to the left menu in Teams, activity, chat, Teams, meetings, etc.? So
once you do publish your bot, and it is like present here, you'll actually access it. Just let me find the proper window. You'll actually access it here within the chat. So this will be just another like conversation that you can do. The point is that today the PVA is not yet supporting conversation within channels. So even if you publish your own bot and you select the channel option, then it will not work there. So the option to, well, to consume, to converse with a bot is here, the chats. If this is answering to your question.
We've also got how soon can one see the published changes, which I think is part of the problem that you were having there.
I mean, the information once you're publishing and then like submitting for approval for the Teams administrator, it says it is around like 10 to 15 minutes. So this is also here present, this information around the publishing. No, I mean, I just saw it somewhere, but the information actually should be available within like maximum 10 minutes after the publishing. Oh, 15, yes, here it is. So, well, up to 15 minutes.
Okay. Our next question, is there a possibility to access chat history in order to improve our bot's responsiveness?
So there is no chat history. The option that we can actually access are those analytics, and then based on these information, those insights stored here. So for example, information around customer satisfaction, we can find the topics that are performing better or that are performing worse or poor. And this way we can try to, well, to improve this overall experience, but there is no accessibility. I mean, there's no access to just the history of chats.
That would be a great addition through some kind of AI.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so question right at the end there. Thomas, who was asking the question about it attaching to the left-hand side, has just clarified that he would like it to be easy for users to find, which is why he was asking about putting it on the left-hand menu.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't actually know if there is like a functionality in Microsoft Teams, like administrative option to enforce that this is going to be added to every user's team application. I doubt there is something like that. So this is always a personal thing to find this bot and to add it.
Okay, if it's an app, then it can set there, was answered by Thomas. So.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so the other thing that we were having a discussion about during your presentation was about the differences between a chatbot and the platform bot. So what's the use for using one internally and externally, for example? So
the platform bot, the platform meaning that Microsoft Teams bot, right? Or the other way around? All right, so this Microsoft Teams bot or the platform bot, this is basically for internal purposes, and I can imagine of the number of scenarios that you can try to use a bot for example, to help you with requesting the holidays or requesting travels. So like all these processes that we can actually have usually within the organizations, and that usually the trigger is a form. So that if we would like to have them maybe more engaging, then we can just engage a bot to be this entry point. And then speaking about the bot, so this the long version, then its purpose is actually to face mainly your external customers or just face the anonymous users of your website or your potential customers, so that you can embed on your public facing website or embed in Power Apps portals and use it to help these people with any kind of request they have. Either, I mean, let it be to have more information about your products, your services. Maybe you can use it for the scenario as it's been shown during the Ignite, so that you have like a user account and you're asking about the status of your case, or that you would like to appoint a meeting. So, well, then you have really a big number of all these possible scenarios.
Okay, that just about covers everything we've got in Q&A.
All right.
So unless anybody else has got any questions, huge thank you to Thomas. That was an excellent session. I think we've all really got some clarity, not just about the licensing, which not many people will talk about. So thank you for that, Thomas.
Okay.
but actually about
as for this information around pinning apps. Okay, I didn't know that actually. I'm not a Teams administrator. So okay.
So yeah, thanks so much for sharing all of that with us. Please do, Thomas, if you'd like to flick back to the feedback slide, please do give us feedback on the presentation so that as a group organising the events, and for Thomas personally, we can what it is you're looking for from these sessions. Lots of thank yous coming through, Thomas, in the chat. So very, very good.
Yes, thank you very much as well for being with me and listening, and a lot of cool questions. So have a great rest of the conference, and I hope that we'll be able to meet one day soon in person, somewhere on a physical meeting. Thanks.